Hi, I'm Shafin Design, and welcome to the Psychology of Attraction, a 4-part course on seduction, attraction, and the nature of human mating game. At the very beginning, allow me to congratulate you on being here. We're going to cover some very exciting topics on this course, some of which is going to be presented in a structured format for the very first time in our known human history, and you will be the first to know. I will cover topics like theory of evolution, what creates attraction, poles of human sexuality, and much, much more, all from the point of seduction, romantic attraction, and what creates or destroys them. By the time you've gone through all 4 parts of this course, you will have a pretty decent understanding of the nature of romantic attraction, how seduction plays a vital role in evolution, and even some basic strategies of triggering the attraction switches in mates of your choice that will make you magnetically attractive to the opposite sex. So, what is the psychology of attraction? It is my experience that even though love, sex, and attracting a suitable mate is the most powerful motivator for us after basic survival, people of the world today have a very poor understanding of the true nature of the mating game. We are not taught about this in school, our parents refuse to talk about it, and our friends are even more clueless than we are. Yet we are all playing the game with no rule book or proper understanding, no previous introduction, and no structured training. But if you think about it, we do learn the rules somewhere. We all seem to have very strong beliefs about how to attract romantic partners and how to maintain relationships. We all seem to know how our love life should be. But a big question is, where did we get these ideas from? We got them from movies we watched, novels we read, songs we listened to, right from our childhood. And what is the result? Well, nearly 50% divorce rate in most free societies, and truly happy couples being as rare as Chinese giant pandas. They do exist, but finding one is a damn hard job. And is it a surprise? If our teachers of love, attraction, and relationships are brilliant but totally out of balance individuals like actors, poets, and movie makers who are signing their 4th divorce letter while checking into rehab for the 7th time, what did you expect? Just like jumping off the roof with a red cape like Superman will break your legs at the very least, following romantic advice from movies and songs will get you a divorce letter, if you're lucky that is. Unfortunately, as I record this, there are very few good books on the market that teach us how to successfully attract the right partners and build fulfilling relationships with them. There are some good books on maintaining relationships like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and some okay books for attracting a potential mate like The Game. But none of this, at least none that I know of, explain why attraction works the way it does. What is the reason we evolved to value certain human traits more attractive than the others, and how to incorporate those traits naturally within our personality? What we have so far is, here are some techniques and behaviors that work for me. Go do it. Hopefully it'll work for you too. In psychology of attraction, we will go through exactly that which is missing. We'll learn why certain traits trigger instant attraction, how we are hardwired to feel attracted towards some people but get totally repulsed by the others, how we can use this evolutionary machinery in our favor, and how to incorporate those specifically attractive traits naturally within our personality, not as a forced, inauthentic add-on, but a natural evolution of the self. Now, this is a course that can only serve as a foundation. I will teach you as much as I can for free within the boundaries of video size limits, time, bandwidth, and other resources. I'll teach you all the background history, what we know from evolution theory, evolution psychology, and more. Finally, I'll show you some of the ways you can immediately apply these concepts in your life. If you think this is valuable, if you wish to really achieve mastery, truly redefine your entire being, and take control of your love life, you can get my much anticipated new training course, 5 Essential Mindsets of Magnetically Attractive Men. By the end of this course, you will know if this is really for you or not. If you think it is, you will get a chance to get it very quickly because I have decided to sell only 1,000 copies of this product for now. Once the 1,000 copies sell out, it's shop closed, game over, good night. Why only 1,000 copies? Well, that is something I'll share with you at the end of this course on day 4. It's quite the story, and as you will see, I've been struggling quite a while to not release this product, but somehow I was forced to. Anyway, whatever is the case, there will be no hard sales, no if you don't buy this product you'll regret forever type techniques, or anything like that. The idea is very simple. I'll teach you as much as possible for free. At any point during or after the course, if you want to own the whole arsenal of 9 hours of intense training and 3 separate sessions of brain programming with clinical hypnosis and brain entrainment technology, if you wish to get the whole enchilada, then you can go get the product by clicking on the link right below this video. And if you can't afford it, well, then forget about it. It's not the end of the world. A quick note at this point about the product itself. Although it will be focused primarily towards men, I guarantee any woman going through this will also learn an astounding amount on seduction, attraction, romantic relationships. Much of human mating follows the same rules regardless of male or female. What applies to men in many ways applies to women as well. Now let us begin. The very first thing I want you to understand from a very practical standpoint is that if you wish to create attraction in a potential mate, man or woman, gay or straight, there is both an inner game and an outer game. There are some theories you'll have to learn and some practices you'll have to do. Once you're comfortable with the theories, you'll understand the specific practices much better and will be able to use them much more powerfully. So in that spirit, let me teach you some of the background and theories first. Let's begin with a very brief history of the human race. About 1.6 million years ago, our ancestors lived in Africa, walked upright, and possessed relatively small brains which they used to make some crude stone tools. Scientists call this the Pleistocene period. At this time, these upright walking folk quite certainly did not have language, music, or any other creative capabilities that modern humans have. From there, about 10,000 years ago, which marks the beginning of the period we're living in right now called the Holocene period, our ancestors were already identical to modern humans with similar brain structure and appearance. During this last 10,000 years, humans spread around the planet, invented agriculture, democracy, paper money, divorce lawyers, McDonald's, space shuttles, Facebook, and strawberry-flavored condoms. The big question is, how did all this happen and why? Or more specifically, how did we evolve such huge brains necessary to support such complex achievements and why? Our brain is the single most energy-consuming organ in our body, taking up, pay attention here, taking up about 15% of the oxygen intake, 25% of metabolic energy, and 40% of our blood glucose. Just conversing with people for a couple of hours on an intellectually challenging topic makes us hungry and tired. Why would we evolve such tremendous energy-consuming brain power? If you look around, you'll see 99% of all animals do with much smaller brains and much simpler abilities, and they do perfectly fine. Why would evolution work in a way for us that seemed to go against almost all principles of evolution found in nature? Why did evolution take such an unusual turn with the human race? Why is it that elephants and whales that have much bigger brains than us never create Mona Lisa or discover the theory of relativity? Let us venture ahead and see. When most people hear about the theory of evolution, they think survival of the fittest. They also debate on its validity by saying things like, Darwin's theory of survival is incomplete and was never proven right. It's just a theory. The only thing true of that sentence is that it is a theory, and a darn well-researched one at that. Everything else about that statement is incorrect, biased, misinformed common knowledge. First off, Darwin never even coined the term survival of the fittest. Herbert Spencer did. Secondly, theory of evolution is not limited to natural selection, which basically says that only the fittest will be able to survive in a given environment due to pressures of weather, availability of food, choices of prey, threats from predators and parasites, even competition from within one's own social circle. As self-evident it is to common sense, this is only half the theory of evolution. The other half is sexual selection, which is the topic this course is primarily concerned with. What is sexual selection? Put simply, it is the sexual competition within a species that determines the reproductive success of an individual. In simple words, some individuals get to mate a lot, some only moderately, and some none at all. Those who don't get to mate at all produce no offspring, get to make no contribution to the gene pool of the species, and their genes die along with them. All of this happens because to the potential mates, some individuals appear more attractive than the others. Now, although Darwin fully developed the theory of sexual selection in 1871 in his 900-page mammoth of a book, The Descent of Man, it took over 100 years for the scientific community to accept it. During this time, the theory was first ignored, then categorized as blasphemy, then ridiculed, criticized, researched, re-ignored, re-researched, and then finally accepted as self-evident. Why? Because as you will see in part 2 of this course, sexual selection is a tremendously powerful theory that puts a lot of importance on women and their ability to influence human evolution. This was simply too much for the male-dominated, religious-minded 19th and 20th century scientific community. It wasn't until the late 1970s and 80s that finally truth prevailed over prejudice and sexual selection became self-evident. Now, even though Darwin developed sexual selection theory, he never bothered to look deeply into the specific traits that humans find attractive, which in turn determines the direction of human evolution. It wasn't until very recently that a lot of interest in evolutionary psychology started, which focused on the mindsets or psychological drives that guide a species towards a specific direction. Scientists such as Geoffrey Miller, David Buss, Matt Ridley, among others, found that it is the specific mental preferences, primarily of the females, that fuel sexual selection in human evolution. Now, thanks to the work of all these evolutionary biologists and psychologists over the last 2 to 3 decades, we now know that almost all highly evolved animals, including human beings, are all hardwired to choose certain types of mates over the others. And they make this choice by selecting certain mates who exhibit certain specific traits which others do not. I'll say that one more time. The way we make this choice is by selecting certain mates who exhibit certain specific traits which others do not. As powerful as this realization is, what fascinated me the most and what triggered me to launch my own dedicated research in this field is that while for most animals these powerful aphrodisiac-like traits are mostly physical, like the peacock's tail and the amazing colors and patterns of butterflies, for humans, it's mostly mental. There are certain specific mental traits that act as powerful aphrodisiacs for both human males and females. The moment I realized this and looked around, it was like my mind exploded. It was all around, yet I never noticed it before. All humans all around the world are advertising certain specific traits to their potential mates through carefully orchestrated actions and behaviors. The process of seduction for humans is nothing but advertising certain personality traits to the opposite sex through words and actions. These behaviors are as old as our ancestors in the African savanna. Yet because it is such an innate part of our psyche, we don't even realize why we are doing what we are doing. It's that elusive obvious, you see. It's right in front of us. We're all doing it, but almost none of us realize what is it that we are really communicating here. Now here is the biggie. If you know these specific traits and find a way to maximize them within your personality, if you follow certain step-by-step principles and avoid the deadly giveaways of the inauthentic artificial add-ons, if you know how to communicate these mindsets to your potential mate quickly, effectively, and powerfully, you too can become magnetically attractive to your potential mates. But it doesn't stop there. Having these mindsets as a natural part of your being is almost a virtual guarantee against losing your partner to another man or woman. It is also the formula that triggers our emotional hardwiring for becoming the center of the world of our romantic partners. Really, it's that powerful. So, what are these traits? I'll tell you, but not right now. As I said, these mindsets and behaviors are very much innate to us. They're hardwired and natural part of our everyday behavior. Yet because these are sexually selected traits, and you'll understand soon what that means, because these are sexually selected traits, only the best among us exhibit them naturally to their fullest potential. The rest unknowingly give away signals that tell their potential mate of their lower status in the ladder of evolution. Anyway, since these traits are so powerful yet devilishly difficult to see through, we will have to deprogram our mind a bit before we are able to see through the fog. And that's exactly what we will do today and throughout the rest of this course. So stay with me and pay attention. At this point, I want to cover a very important framework for you, an understanding that will serve as a background for many other things that will follow. I will get a bit technical now, but please be patient and pay attention because it's so very important in the context of seduction and attraction. Not understanding this part is the reason for a lot of suffering, especially for men. So if you'd like to avoid making countless mistakes in your future relationships, pay attention here. What I would like you to have is a basic overview of how our brain evolved and the role different parts of our brain plays in the mating game. This model was originally created in the 1960s by neuroscientist Paul MacLean. Once you understand this little technical detail, you will be able to easily understand many other things that follow. So please stay with me here. I'll try to make this as simple as possible. The most primitive part of our brain is the brainstem, surrounding the top of the spinal cord. This old brain, or the reptilian brain as some call it, controls our autonomic bodily functions like breathing, perspiration, digestion, etc. It also controls our instinctual behaviors like dominance and territorial behavior. The primitive brain cannot think or learn. After the primitive brain came the middle emotional brain. The very first layer of the emotional brain we evolved was the olfactory lobe, which could only analyze smell and take appropriate action. Swallow if it's nutritious, spit if it's poisonous, chase if it's a prey, flee if it's a predator, and court if it's a potential mate. From the olfactory lobe, slowly the emotional brain grew large enough to be considered a key layer of our brain. Along with the first mammals came the final layers of the emotional brain. Because this part of the brain encircles around the brainstem, it is called the limbic system, from the Latin word limbus, meaning ring. The limbic system brought with it for the first time emotions such as fear, craving, sexual desire, passion, and fury. A good question then would be, the animals or insects that do not have an emotional brain, do they not feel sexual desire? No, they do not. What they feel is an instinctive drive, not the emotion of desire. Slowly, as the limbic system evolved, it began to support two critical tools of evolution: learning and memory. After the limbic system and the emotional brain, finally came the neocortex that grew on the top of the emotional brain. It is this neocortex that gave our ancestors such an extraordinary intellectual edge. The neocortex allowed us to develop all that is uniquely human. It adds feelings to what we think about and allows us to use language to communicate, think about ideas, art, and imaginations. In humans, the neocortex is much larger than any other animals and enables us to do long-term planning, strategizing, logical thinking, and rationalizing. Now, the reason I just gave you this brief introduction to evolution of the brain is to help you understand one key point. Because the neocortex and all its logical, rational thinking ability came after and extended from the emotional brain or the limbic system, the emotional brain plays a crucial role in the mating game. In moments when an opportunity for mating presents itself, the emotional brain quickly takes over and the neocortex has very little say on the matter. So remember this from now to forever. Attraction is created in the emotional brain, not the neocortex. In simpler words, attraction is not a logical choice we make. It is an involuntary response of the emotional brain to a specific set of mating behavior. Let me give you an example. Because the very first capacity of the emotional brain was the ability to analyze smell, guess which of our 5 senses overpowers all the others? It's smell. Even if something looks good, feels good, sounds good, but does not smell good, you will not feel attracted towards it. Think about it. No matter how handsome, pretty, or charming a person is, if he or she has a bad breath or body odor, we are instantly turned off. It overrides everything else. Just like smell, there are other sexually selected evolutionary traits that either turn off or trigger the switches of our attraction mechanism and can make us feel almost helplessly attracted to the person exhibiting it. As I already mentioned, for most animals, these traits are primarily physical. For humans, however, these traits are primarily mental. Now the bad news is, most people will never know what these traits are and will forever be penalized unknowingly for not exhibiting them. Unconsciously, the message they will send to their potential mates is, "I'm unworthy. Do not choose me because I have nothing great to offer." These men and women will either be punished continuously by their disgruntled husband and wives who somehow got stuck with them in the unnatural legal binding called marriage, or they will have to settle with someone much lower on the evolutionary status than themselves and be doomed with poor quality life. Sad but true. Evolution is kind to the species as a whole and merciless to the individual. The good news is, once you know what these sexually selected evolutionary traits are that indicate a high-status person with superior genes, once you know how to implement them naturally, and once you know how to communicate these mindsets quickly and effectively to your potential romantic partner, you truly will be one of those rare individuals who have too many opportunities and too little time. And not to mention the unwavering devotion of your current romantic partners if you're already in a long-term romantic relationship. Okay, to sum up, today's key lesson has been, attraction is not a logical choice we make. It is an involuntary response of our emotional brain to certain specific mating behaviors. We are hardwired to feel attracted to anyone displaying those characteristics or mindsets. Of course, we can choose to ignore that gut-level attraction due to whatever circumstances that prohibit us. The key to understand here is that the thinking, logical, rational part of the brain is neither able to create attraction or destroy it completely. If the right stimuli are present, we will feel attraction, whether we like it or not, whether it's convenient at the moment or not. The good news is, these mindsets are nothing alien to us, and for the first time in human history, we have pinpointed what they are. Throughout this course, you will learn more in detail how this works, and if you wish to take yourself to the mastery level, you can click on the link below and get a chance to own the very first home study course in the world that will lead you step by step and install all those qualities within you. Finally, how can you use what you have learned today immediately? Do the following exercise. First, throughout the next week, remind yourself over and over the following. Attraction is not a logical choice we make, but an involuntary response of the emotional brain to the right mating behavior. The next time you logically try to convince someone to feel attracted to you, or try to buy them something hoping they'll approve of you, or put them on a guilt trip hoping they'll see their mistake and feel attracted to you, remember, these are the exact opposites of what creates attraction. Shall I say it again? The next time, alright, this is for men, the next time you logically try to convince someone to feel attracted to you, or try to buy them something hoping they'll approve of you, and this one's for women, or put them on a guilt trip hoping they'll see their mistake and feel attracted to you, remember, these are the exact opposite behaviors of what creates attraction. If you want to be magnetically attractive to your romantic partners or potential mates, you have to learn exactly what behaviors and mindsets trigger the attraction switches in their emotional brain. And where will you learn that? From me, of course. So stay tuned for more. And here is today's second exercise. Go watch the movie Vicky Cristina Barcelona by Woody Allen. You'll get a very nice movie version of what I'm talking about. Don't get too engrossed in the story or the morality of it. Just watch the characters and note what creates and destroys attraction, even when we logically understand this would be the totally wrong moment to feel it. Notice how powerful our emotional brain is and how helplessly it responds to the right behavior patterns. Okay, so that's it for today. Do leave a comment below with how you enjoyed this first part and the questions that came to mind so far. Tomorrow we'll go deeper into sexual selection and give you a more thorough understanding of the awesome power it exerts on human evolution. And don't forget, if you're not signed up for this course yet, please sign up for free by entering your name and email address on the right-hand side. Remember, this is a 4-part course, and the only way to get all 4 parts is by signing up for it. Lots more to come. So until we meet again, spread the love and make this world a little better today.